Hi, my name's John, and this is Business Focus. In today's episode, we'll be doing something new to the channel with regards to discussing or analyzing film for movie performances in terms of its box office receipts in the past week or so. So today of this recording is June 29, 2022. So we'll be looking at one of my main sources that I'll be using is the numbers.com, where it details all of the films that was released currently, in the past, and in the future in terms of its performances here. So let's take a closer look. So based on the website here, you can see the daily domestic chart, meaning in the United States performances as of Monday, June 27, 2022. So the top five performers are as follows. So you have Top Gun Maverick. So it's been doing really well. Was able to generate a total gross of a little over 500 million, which has been released for more than a month. Then you have Elvis, which has been released recently. So it's still doing a lot of catching up. You have number three, Jurassic World Dominions. Sad to say, it did really well also. Yeah, even though it's been only released roughly less than 3 weeks or so. And then you have Black Phone at number four. So I haven't watched that, so I don't know what the film is all about. But and you have number five, Lightyear here, which is had a disappointing release here. So you can see here in terms of its growth. So we'll talk about that in a bit. So let's take a look at Top Gun Maverick. So what made it a very successful film here? So obviously the Top Gun franchise, if you can call it a franchise, so it's the sequel to the first film Top Gun, which was released more than 20-30 years ago. So it did, it catapulted Tom Cruise into stratosphere in terms of being an A-list actor here, and creating a sequel was very daunting. Obviously, the story has to be right. He waited this long, and it paid off in spades in terms of creating a compelling story. Now, take note, I've watched this film. It's not perfect in terms of its plot holes, in terms of its love interest, as well as the antagonist in this story arc. You'll be surprised to know you don't know who the main antagonist in the film is. But nonetheless, everything else in terms of its narrative, of its relationship, it's very compelling and very entertaining, and that's all that matters to the moviegoers here. And as you can clearly see here, the people has spoken, especially in the United States, have clearly supported the film, generating over 500 million, $500 million, and not far behind is the international box office, where it's closing to $500 million as well. So it was able to generate a little over $1 billion in revenue, which goes to show that we've discussed this in our Business Focus Live recently, that this is Tom Cruise, one of its most successful films of all time, considering he had other films previously, namely the Mission Impossible franchise. So meaning his effort has been well deserved, and the performance fix speaks for themselves here. And the question is, will there be a sequel after this? Hopefully not. Let the iconic film of Top Gun, and this one stay with us forever, and no more reboots of this popular film that many have come to appreciate and love. Okay, next we have here. So talking about Jurassic World Dominion, which sad to say, I watched it with my kids. Obviously, it's a kids film, sort of, because it was scary for kids. Lots of carnage that happened in the film. But anyway, in terms of its performance, despite being only shown roughly less than 3 weeks in movie theaters, it's doing really well in terms of its very light storytelling. And obviously, the third one, they're trying to integrate the original characters from the Jurassic film and the Jurassic World franchise here, which they able somehow to do it by doing some magic for whatever reason. And let's take a look at its actual performance here. So, given that it's only been roughly 3 weeks, less than a month, right? It's already able to reach a total box office of $750 million. So, given a few more weeks, I think it'll be able to reach or cross the 1 billion mark, which is hopefully they'll stop making this film. But sad to say, based on the performance here, obviously the movie studios here are incentivized to create more of it, or maybe create spin-offs of it, which is kind of sad because it, there are allowance that moviegoers are willing to take in terms of entertainment. And if you try to do too much, which we'll discuss in a bit with another film, could be disastrous to your prospects moving forward here. But in terms of Jurassic franchise, obviously, I think for me the best one is still the first one, which is Jurassic Park, which was directed by Steven Spielberg. In terms of its simple storytelling, the message is tried to convey. None of that is present in the Jurassic World. I mean, for me anyway, the message is people never learn from their mistakes, and they keep on repeating the same mistakes over and over and over and over and over, and we learned nothing, to the point that we've done terrible things and still we continue to make the same mistakes, and doing the same things hoping for different results is not going to get us anywhere here. But you know maybe it has some semblance in reality here, but who knows here. Anyway, yes, going back to the daily chart here, you can see here number 5 is Lightyear here. Now, even though, let's move closer. Even though it's just a new release, which has been released for less than 2 weeks, but the performance is kind of so. Typically, in the first weekend or so, it will generate a lot of revenue, especially it's Buzz Lightyear from the Toy Story franchise. So you'd expect a lot of fans watching the film, kid friendly and so forth. And the fact it's an origin story for the popular character Buzz Lightyear uh, movie. So let's see how it fared. So in terms of its box office, it's looking dreadful if you look at it. So in the US alone, it didn't even reach 100 million mark. Even worse is the international box office for a measly total of 155 million, which is nowhere close to the budget that they spent, which is rough $200 million. So meaning it didn't fare well. Now, what caused this flop? If you think about it now, is it still too early to consider it as a flop? Well, you can always speculate that it's still early, given it a few more weeks. But the point here, will it reach close to half a billion, or even $1 billion here? And sad to say, I watch it with my kids because obviously it's geared towards family and so forth. For an origin story, it didn't do a great job of creating an origin of how Buzz Lightyear became who he was, the people we love and enjoyed watching in the Toy Story franchise here. And one of the main things I think is very important is creating a protagonist, which is Buzz, and an antagonist, which they have, which is Zurg, right? But if you watch the film, you'll be very disappointed here because obviously for a character to be compelling, the antagonist has to be compelling as well. If you think of some of the superhero characters that we know, you have Spider-Man, you have Venom, maybe, or even Goblin, or Doctor Octopus, and many more, right? Or Batman comes to mind. Then Joker is the antithesis of Batman here. Then you have Superman, another superhero. Then you have Lex Luthor as another, and the list goes on and on. And you'll be very disappointed on how they created the villain in this case, which is kind of mood, and how they created the story arc for Buzz Lightyear in terms of its character development. It's as if he never developed the character, which is kind of mood, or was it even necessary to create this story in the first place here? But that's just my opinion here. But based on initial performances, it's not doing too good here. And question here is, will it be able to rebound in terms of its performance? We'll see. Hoping for the best, and we'll see. And looking forward to the next few films that's going to be released in the next coming weeks and months and so forth. So you have, based on what Disney is doing with their main characters, you have, what do you call this? Thor: Love and Thunder. So I'm still iffy about it in terms of its performance. And then you have Wakanda Forever, and then the third part of Guardians of the Galaxy. So we'll wait and see if it's going to do as much. Before I forget, I think I forgot to take a look in terms of how Doctor Strange fared in the box office here. And yes, I almost forgot going back. So you can see number six is Doctor Strange here, which, even though it's been released for, close to 2 months, it has grossed a little over 400 million domestically. So let's take a closer look here. I was mistaken. Jurassic World was produced by Universal Pictures. So anyway, so we can see here again. That's why my concerns were warranted in terms of, for a MCU film to be considered successful, it has to reach cross over $1 billion here. And films such as, Black Widow, you also have Eternals, and Shang-Chi didn't even come close to that mark, with the exception of Spider-Man here. Now, in terms of Doctor Strange, it's somewhere in the middle here. It's not that terrible, it's not that great also. And as you can see here, even the domestic box office, Top Gun was able to reach a higher mark here, considering, the shorter time frame of its release. And the international box office did even better, slightly better, but it didn't even reach or cross over the 1 billion mark. So what could be the cause of this dilemma here? Now, for me, I think it's the story wise here. Again, I seem to notice a growing trend in terms of sidelining the main character here in terms of Doctor Strange. It's Doctor Strange, the superhero, right? But if you notice in the in the poster, you notice that Scarlet Witch is front and center here as the main antagonist here. And they didn't have to use her as the main antagonist, but because they created a TV series, so they wanted to ducktail the multiverse, which kind of convoluted, which didn't make sense. It should be a standalone film, and I think it affected the potential of generating even better performance in the box office here. I could be wrong, but I suspect that could be one of the main reasons here. And the fact that, in terms of the Doctor Strange film, there are two female characters that's more prominent in that particular film, meaning the main character of Doctor Strange is not as prominent as should be because he's the main character in his own film. Think of how Spider-Man No Way Home was made. They didn't stop with one Spider-Man. They created three Spider-Man using the other Spider-Man films to create a lot of excitement, providing an enjoyable experience for the film. And look at the result. It crushed all preceding films during after the pandemic, or after the lockdown, you want to call it. And no one has even come close to it yet, and which is, I'm kind of concerned that for the rest of the MCU slate films will not be able to get even close to that performance here. And the fact that Disney and even Sony are obviously partnering to be able to create the Tom Holland Spider-Man films, but moving forward, will they be able to produce even more, or will it, falter? But who knows? Anyway, stay tuned. Next time, maybe next month. We'll do it a monthly series here. We'll see how it goes. We'll check on some other films if the new releases will be doing as much as advertised, or actually the Minions. I'm looking forward. So my kids love Minions, so I'm stuck watching it with my kids also. But we'll see. So looking forward to the other films that's going to be released later this year as well. Anything, anyway, I think that's about it for this week. Hopefully, you have enjoyed our discussion here today. Come back again on Business Focus for more videos, tips, as well as business talk discussions here. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.